the Shot Time Wizard. So while we're making espresso throughout the day, we're going to be constantly managing our grinder and making sure that our espressos sit within the threshold that we've deemed to be acceptable. Now, this graph that we have on the screen here shows a few different espresso shot times from 21 up through 29. You'll see we've got our midline at 25 seconds. We're going to pretend that this is our target for this particular espresso. And our upper limit is 27 and our lower limit is 23 seconds. Now, obviously, in a perfect world, we would want every espresso to be at 25, sitting there on the line like this. Now, throughout the day, it would be optimal if we could make every single espresso just sitting there on the 25-second line, 25 seconds, 25 seconds, 25 seconds. But that's almost impossible because with coffee, we're dealing with an organic, natural product. It has some variability, and we're going to need to monitor that product as it's being made throughout the day, while also managing the thermal constraints of our grinder. It might be slowly heating up or cooling down throughout the day, depending on how many shots we're making. So while keeping all of these things in check, we're going to have to watch our shots as we make them. So this is unlikely with our beautiful line of 25 seconds. What's more likely is a spread, and it's going to be changing throughout the day. So we've got our first espresso shot here at 25, then 26, 25, 25 and a bit, 24, 26 and a half. You'll see that we're always slightly changing. There's always a bit of variability. As we go through the day, we're going to want to try and always come back to this 25-second line. We don't want to veer too far away. So what I'd recommend is when you start to see your shot times moving towards these upper and lower thresholds, is to make micro adjustments of the grinder, small adjustments that will bring you back down to your middle aim that you're going for. Now, when you're doing a micro adjustment, you don't need to purge the grinder. You just need to keep on making your shots as you were, and you'll find that, let's say we made a small micro adjustment here to go a little bit coarser to make our shots faster, then we'll just see a gradual trend back down to that 25-second line. Now, perhaps after watching this shot happen down here at 22, you might conclude that that adjustment was a little bit too far, and then grind a little bit finer, tiny bit finer, and then our next shots will be back on that 25-second line. Now, in some cases, you might find that the shots are coming out all over the place. Some at 27, some at 22, back up at 27. It's very variable from one shot to the next, up and down. In this case, I'd recommend that you check your dose and distribution to make sure that there's no errors there, because a change in dose and a change in distribution can create a different amount of resistance to the espresso machine, which will create a different length for your espresso shot. So when there's wild variability like this between shots, don't adjust your grinder as soon as you start to see things above or below the lines, because here we can't really tell whether we're too fine or too coarse. It's all over the shop. What's more likely, if your distribution and your dose are accurate, is that you might see a general trend towards 27. In this case, we've gone above 27 seconds, maybe up to 28. In this case, we're going to want to make a macro adjustment where we adjust the grinder a little bit further, a little bit more aggressively, and then we purge the grinder. And this is going to bring our shot times back down within the threshold, back down towards our 25 seconds. Now, if we were to make a more drastic adjustment, these following shots may already be down on the line there. In our next scenario, you can see that we're sitting pretty. We're very close to our 25-second target, and we're just making some small micro adjustments to bring our shots back down to that 25-second line and then sitting on that line towards the end. Now, this is kind of like a well-tuned thermostat. You know, we're aiming for that set point. We don't want to overshoot and come down to 23 seconds. We want to just use the right amount of adjustment to keep us on the line. Now, next up is very similar to the last, but we have one shot that was 28 seconds. Now, in this case, if you see a shot that's 28 seconds, don't instantly go to change the grinder. You should probably pull another shot to make sure that you're not getting some noise in this signal from the coffee. Now, in this case, we didn't adjust the grinder and the shot time went back to 25, 26 seconds. So this guy here may have been some weird beans in a blend. It may have been an incorrect distribution, a channeled espresso that went wrong, something else other than the average grind that we're getting out of the grinder. So it pays not to react too quickly. And here in our final scenario, we can see that the shots are a little bit more variable. Now what we would do here is wait at this shot to see what's going on with our grinder, because these ones have all been 25, 26, out comes a 24, and then we're up to 27. So we'd want to pull a few more shots to see what's going on. And in this case, we're still sitting a little bit high, so we'd make a micro adjustment and then move back down towards that 25-second line. Now we can see here that we're also quite low again. We might want to pull a few more shots again to see if our espressos are trending low, or if we're going to be averaging around that 25-second line. You can see here we're not always on the line, but this is averaging around 24 seconds. So it pays to look at the previous few and next few shots to make sure that we're not oversteering to each side of these bounds all the way throughout the day.